Hey everyone, I wanted to share with you today a book that I found really inspirational by Eckhart Tolle. It's called The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle really reminds me of someone from the League of Gentlemen. I don't know if any one of you have seen, the sticky up your nose people. I'm sorry that's very irreverent for you Eckhart Tolle fans out there. But it always makes me giggle whenever I hear him talk. He's got a bit of a funny voice as well. But I do love Eckhart Tolle, which is why I'm sharing this book. It's this, The Power of Now. It's actually been quite life-changing for me in many, many ways. There's so much of this book that has totally changed my life, actually. One particular bit of it that's it's going to be impactful for anyone. Dieters though, anyone who's watching from my clients or anyone interested in weight loss, when you're stood in front of the fridge and you have been having that conversation of, I'm not going to have any cheese, I'm definitely not going to have any cheese. Definitely that's my voice anyway. I don't know about you guys, but for me it'll be cheese. And you have that constant angel and devil conversation on your shoulder, and you've got that voice in your head going. We all have those voices in our heads, and those nasty voices that go on in our heads, those conversations that we have constantly going. And then you might go and have some cheese, say, and then you start beating yourself up about how crap you are at dieting and you just can't do it, and you might just as well stop or at least stop until next Monday and then start again, and all those negative feelings that you have about yourself, those conversations that you constantly have with yourself that make it so much harder, whatever conversations those have that you have with yourself. And it doesn't have to be about dieting, it can be about anything in life. One of my ones that had nothing to do with dieting was about being a mum and the mistakes I made as a mum, both whilst the children were little and even once they've left, the things that I could have done better and stuff like that. Anyway, back to Eckhart Tolle. Why it's been so life-changing for me is one of the concepts that he talks about, two that I'm going to mention, both relevant to this, is, I'm reading from here, is freeing yourself from your mind. He talks about watching the thinker, and how that what you do is you are basically you watch that part of your brain that's doing the thinking. So you basically stop and think about, you don't think, you have this concept of distancing yourself from those voices in your head. And so you watch that thinking that's going on. And I know that's going to sound totally kooky, but I'm going to explain it with another book, which is Ruby Wax's Frazzled. I'm just going to read a sentence from it to explain the watching the thinker, which totally puts it into Ruby Wax. This book is brilliant. And I'm going to read this, which I hope explains the watching the thinker concept. When you're in observer mode, just witnessing your thoughts, they lose their power and sting as you begin to realise that you aren't your thoughts. If thoughts were who you are, how would you be able to observe them? When I read that, I was like, wow. I'm going to just read that again. When you're in observer mode, just witnessing your thoughts, they lose their power and sting as you begin to realise that you aren't your thoughts. If thoughts were who you are, how would you be able to observe them? When I first grasped those concepts of that, if I'm not my thoughts, then wow, how would I be able to observe them then? If I'm, good God, then I'm able to distance myself from my thoughts. Then that means that I can create a gap between my thoughts and me, and that means I don't have to then, it's not me, then I don't then have to even act on them, and I can create this gap. It gave me so much peace. And I from working on that and just creating that stillness and that moment of stillness, it really gave me so much more control over those thoughts, over that constant doubting and noise that goes on in my head. Just was immense. The other thing that Eckhart Tolle talks about is something called your pain body, and how which is very wrapped up with those thoughts, particularly the negative thoughts that we have, and how we feed our pain body with our negative thoughts, and how if you stop focusing in on those negative thoughts, you stop feeding this pain body. I've taken it a sort of a step further. Hope that's okay, Eckhart. I actually think of it as I feed my, I call it my joy body. So I don't feed my pain body with my negative thoughts. In fact, if I catch myself thinking the negative thoughts that are feeding my pain body, I flip it and I do the opposite, and I try to think very positive thoughts. Eckhart Tolle will talk about just being in the moment and just not thinking positive thoughts all the time, but actually just being still, just being present in this very moment. So I try to do that as well. But I just thought I'd share that. I'm just going to pull that book up. It's called The Power of Now. It's blooming brilliant, life-changing.